Welcome back. So on this video I wanted to kind of explore really just mental health and my body and mind, and how I feel that they work together now a lot better, and also kind of like about my health journey a little bit, and then as well as like where I am now with it, really. Sorry, there was a lot of ums and ahs in that bit. So just to give you a bit of background, I kind of got into health and fitness in my 20s. I wasn't really the healthiest person. I was a normal student. I ate a lot, I drank a lot, I got the Freshers 5, which is like weight that you put on, and probably about my third or fourth year, it wasn't until my third or fourth year of university, I kind of became aware that, I was a bit bigger than other people, and I probably needed to look after my health for the best. I then went on to travel for a bit, and while I was traveling, I was eating everything I wanted to eat and enjoying everything that I wanted to enjoy. And I never denied myself. And it was only till I really came back, I realised I had put on a fair bit of weight and that I kind of needed to shift it and lose it. While I was away, I joined a gym, and for the first time ever, I actually got a PT. This was not something I had ever thought about before or wanted. Basically what had happened was I joined a gym. My husband got really into working out while we were away, and so I joined a gym with him, and they had like one-to-one consultations that were free just to go through like your diet and stuff. And if from the back of that you then wanted to like use the PT, you could, but this one-to-one was absolutely free, and you didn't have to use it afterwards. So I sat down with the PT, and he was lovely. I got on really well with him. We went over like what I was eating and stuff like that. And I kind of thought, why not give it a try? It doesn't really hurt. And so yeah, I picked up a few blocks, like I think it was like a block of 4. And I kind of never looked back from there. I had been to the gym before. I've always been part of gyms, but like a lot of people, I didn't really use them very much. I went to a lot of classes and my weight really yo-yoed. It was always up and down. But when it came to actually going into the gym and using it, bar classes, I always kind of steered away. Mainly because, like a lot of people, didn't really know what I was doing. I was always scared I was going to use a machine and my form wouldn't be right, or other people would be laughing, and Lord have mercy about using free weights. I just didn't have a clue what I would even do with them after I'd picked them up. So this really worked for me, and it was a bit different, and I really enjoyed it. So when we came back from New Zealand, a couple of years later, I decided that I wanted to get another PT. Because of our wedding and everything like that, it kind of fell by the waistline. But in the back of my mind, I was always really like, I really loved that time when I was in New Zealand and I was going to the gym, and I had a PT, and he made me just feel a bit more confident about some of the machines I was using, and also as well a structured goal, which I really liked too. So what happened was, once we kind of bought our house and things had settled down a bit, I decided to join another gym. And as part of that gym, there were a few PTs that milled about in there, and I came across one I really liked. I got on really well with him, and I hired him. And that was the start of a really enjoyable self-discovery goal. And again, this was all before my first child. I was pregnant with my first child. I think it was about a year before I fell pregnant. And along the journey of it, not only did I lose a substantial amount of weight, which I needed to lose, but I also really built up my strength. I was squatting with heavy weights, using free weights. I got my confidence built up in not just doing more classes, but using like the squat rack. And also as well, I kind of fell in love with the gym in the sense of mentally, everything shifted. I wasn't no longer scared of the gym. I wasn't scared to go in. I wasn't thinking about what people were thinking of me. It actually became a bit of a haven for me. There would be times when I would have a really, really rough day at my work, and I would go to the gym, and I would only be in there for like 20 minutes, half an hour. And I would always use like a cross trainer or a treadmill, like walking on the treadmill as a warm up. And I'd go and do my warm up, and then I would just stay on it, and then I would spend like 20 minutes doing the cross trainer, and then afterwards I'd be like, oh, you know what, I feel a bit better, but I kind of just want to go home now. And I would go home, you know, and that would be it. But the main thing was it would clear my head. It would really like blow away the cobwebs is probably the easiest thing to say. And no matter how hard my day was or how rubbish I felt, I would always leave the gym feeling better. You never regret a workout. Don't get me wrong, you'll have workouts where you're like, oh, I didn't manage my personal best, or I could have done better, or I could have achieved more. But you never regret a workout. It's not even in, you just never do. And that was a major, major turning point. I'd never really had anything before whereby I felt that relief, that, my brain, you know, kind of switching off. And it was so new, and I just loved it. And I kind of naturally ended up in the gym like 4 or 5 days a week, not hitting it really hard. You know, 2 of those would be PTs, and I was hitting that hard. But they would be workouts, and I would mix things up. And like I say, sometimes I would just go in and just do some stretches and leave again. But the main thing was, it was like, that was my time and my day for me. I really enjoy cooking as well, so I feel that kind of in the kitchen a little bit, but not as much as I do when I'm in the gym. And that was really, really important in my life. And I didn't actually realise how much I depended on that until after I had my child and COVID hit. While I was pregnant, I worked out throughout my entire pregnancy. That's not to say that's right for everyone. You know, people need to consult their doctors. People have different pregnancies. But for me, I was healthy and I was okay, and I didn't push outside my limits. So I worked out pretty much right up until 2 or 3 weeks before my due date. And I was happy doing that. And I never pushed myself too much. I always just went as far as I knew I could go. After my child was born, I gave myself 6 weeks. I said I would give myself 6 weeks, no pressure again, and then I would gradually just get back into the gym. But then COVID hit and everything got locked down, and suddenly I couldn't go to the gym anymore. When COVID hit in the UK, there was a rule that you could go out for an hour of exercise a day. And I didn't really use this probably as much as I could have. There are excuses for that. You know, I could tell you, you know, we live in Scotland, it was rainy, you know, it was raining, it was cold, I had this new little baby, I didn't want to let the baby get cold. But also as well, just laziness. I didn't want to go out for a walk after a while, you know, and I could have done stretches or home exercises. A lot of people did stuff like that. I didn't do it, you know. I did try some home exercises. And don't get me wrong, if you are committed to them, they work as good as going to a gym. Everyone has their different opinions on that. But for me, there's something about leaving the house and going somewhere. And it's the hardest part, is getting into a gym. Like, once you're in the gym, you're fine. But there's something about being in a completely different space outside of my own personal space that I kind of get the therapeuticness from, especially when there's no one else around me. So once COVID lifted, I started my PTs again. But certainly there's been a massive, massive shift in my strength, my cardio especially. My cardio is atrocious now. You know, I used to be able to run a 5K. I could do that on the treadmill, which is mentally challenging. Not anymore. And then also as well, I fell pregnant again quite soon after, you know, I had my first child. And after COVID lifted, basically, and the restrictions lifted. So I've not been at the gym as much, or I've been going back very sporadically, and then I'll go back in that again, and then I've kind of stopped and started. And you know, my PT as well, I'm still with my same PT. He's still really great. I still get on with him really well, and I don't want to go elsewhere because I work with him really well and I feel he works with me. But my PT is also a professional athlete. He's an MMA fighter, and so he has to go and do his own training and his own fighting. So sometimes he has to stop his PTs so that he can go, if he's preparing for a fight, to do his training camps and stuff. That's something I completely respect. It's actually one of the things I really admire about him. And seeing his mentality and his drive is actually one of the reasons I want to stay with him because I find that really, really good. But that does mean that there are periods of times where there's maybe a month or two where I just have to focus on myself and get myself into the gym. And while I got to a point where I used to be able to do that, I have slipped back and I've not been able to with my lifestyle. There's also the other thing of as well is that I like to hit the gym in the morning or during the day. I've never liked going to the gym too late at night. When before JJ, I would hit the gym usually just straight after work. I'd go straight to the gym after work, come back, and then that would be me, have my evening, have food, get showered, whatnot. You know, realistically, with the way my schedule works now, ideally, I should be in the gym probably be about 7, half 7 at night, but I really just don't like that. Again, a lot of people push themselves to do that, and that's really important, and it's something I should probably work on. But that's something that I've really struggled with, is changing my routine. I noticed probably after the fact when all the stuff and the mental health issues hit me at my work, I had been going to the gym, but about 2 or 3 weeks after it, really, once everything had died down a bit and I was taking the time to reflect on my mental health, while I had been going to the gym, it had been very half-hearted. It wasn't as much as what I'd been doing before. That coincided with the fact that I wasn't keeping on top of my diet, you know. With my pregnancy, you kind of naturally shift your diet about anyway. You maybe take your foot off the pedal a bit if you're losing weight and stuff like that. Because suddenly your main concern is your unborn baby and making sure that they are okay. But I realised that by doing that, that had actually hindered my mental health. And I'm not saying, I needed to be losing weight and going to the gym 6 days a week. I'm not saying that at all. But I just noticed that I was finishing up my work at home. So I'd been at home, sitting down for 8-9 hours solid. I come downstairs to a child who's tired because he's just gotten back from nursery, screaming. I then have to make dinner. We then try and eat. You're cleaning up dinner afterwards. You're then trying to put said child to bed. You know, you already feel guilty because you've not seen the child. And I would be absolutely exhausted after that. And I've not even seen my husband. So then I would want to really kind of hang out with him. So then you're on the couch all night. And then your night's gone. You know, you need to go to bed 9-10. Praying that the child doesn't wake up all night to keep you up, because that impacts your day the following day. And I just got into that turning hamster wheel. And that had really, really affected my mental health. I didn't realise how much it did. And it all leads on. You are like, because then you're tired, so then you don't eat as well. Once you don't eat as well, you feel bad. The guilt starts to eat at you because you're not eating well, you know. You didn't go to the gym. You said you were going to go to the gym. You never did. And it just becomes a bit of a riot, to be honest. So this affected my body. I was starting to get quite a lot of sciatica. This is something I didn't have in my first pregnancy. I know it's common with any pregnancy, but I don't think I really helped that because I wasn't moving. I was staying very sedentary, which probably wasn't helping. Like I say, mentally I was feeling really, really run down. And then because of that as well, I didn't want to exercise. I didn't want to go to the gym. I didn't want to feel any more guilt, you know. I hadn't lost my previous baby weight that I'd put on all the plans I had had after having JJ about getting back into the gym and getting fit and building my strength up again was all to pot because of COVID. So while that wasn't my fault necessarily, like now I could get back into the gym and I wasn't. So that is on me, you know. I wasn't going there. My strength and, like I say, my cardio really depleted. And so then you're like, well, now I'm not as good as what I was. I'm not as strong as I was. I'm not as sturdy as I was. And it just kind of built up as well. And I didn't really realise any of this until, like I say, everything kicked off with my work. I was so wrapped up in my work for the first 1 to 2 weeks that it was only when I took a step back I could appreciate it. And that's kind of where I'm at with my journey now. I've taken a few weeks to take a step back and get back to, right, what do I want to do? Where do I want to be? I'm heavily pregnant. I'm due in a month. So I'm not going to be running a marathon next week, you know. Maybe some people could do that when they're pregnant, but I can't because I've not been training, you know. I've not been training and I've not been running, and, you know, where am I at now? And that's what I'm doing. I'm writing a list to see where I'm at now, writing some goals down of where I kind of want to get back to after having my baby. And also the big thing I'm trying to do, which I'm struggling with, is being nicer to myself mentally. Telling myself that it's okay. This hasn't been the best, but it's just a trip in the road and it's completely normal. And everyone has that in any stage of their life, and it doesn't matter how fit you are, how unfit you are, it really doesn't. You're going to have these stumbles. That's what they are. That is what makes up life, is the stumbles. So that's kind of where I'm at with all of that at the moment. I'm just taking it back to square one, starting again, resetting, trying to be nicer to myself, and also going back to the gym, even just once a week, just for 20 minutes. I literally went back and did a couple of stretches. It wasn't a pretty sight, but I felt better for it. And I felt nice to myself for it as well. And I forgave myself for the fact that I wasn't in there going off my head, you know, picking up weights and whatnot. I'm just starting again, and that's completely okay. The fact of the matter is, we all fail, we all have stumbling blocks. You just need to be able to pick yourself back up, adapt and change to what will work best for you. So yeah, I'll keep you updated with how I'm getting on with that, like I say, further down the line. But I think your mental health and your physical health really go hand in hand. You're on a hamster wheel, and when you get off, it's like a domino effect. If your mental health isn't right, it's going to affect your gut, your health physically, everything, because it's just a domino. It's a domino effect. You just once one goes down, the rest of them are going down. So yeah, we'll go from there. Thanks. Okay, bye.